Hi, Randy Burke here again from DCS Global with Chapter 3, the industry improvement study that we did. There's some great recommendations that are there. And again, on the background, I may have heard it earlier, but this was commissioned by the British Columbia Contract Cleaners Association. And yeah, it was amazing interest, how we were able to get some data and information directly from contractors, clients. It was very enlightening. But what we really saw too is that when the contractors got together to put this information through their association, there was some really good relationship building, collaboration, and it had the effect of really balancing some of the negative pieces or elements of competition. Competition is important, of course, but it was nice to see people get to know each other on a personal basis and really solve the problems, some of the common problems, just talking. So again, the clients, of course, property facility managers, have seen the need for this and are very much supportive and stepping up in communication. And what really came out is that there needs to be more information, and there's some formal education, and this is part of it. That we think is going to really add value and be the solution to some of the challenges in the industry. And it's really part of our DNA. We've done this many times and love to do it. So happy to be of service. And the comments here really are on a national basis. I'll mention if they're just BC, but this is an industry-wide set of issues that we see that really, I think, are apply to everybody, all the markets. So we're starting a series of strategic challenges that really did come out in the city, and one of them is maintaining quality levels. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of stress on the industry right now, and a lot of it's leftover pandemic issues, with staff that did exit the industry, haven't come back. So the new people do not have the skill set, that the existing staff did, which hurts productivity. And, turnover still persists as much as, the industry is working hard for that. So these are real challenges, along with, as prior the pandemic, is wages are behind cleaners in other markets, whether you work at a hotel, a healthcare facility, even sometimes Tim Hortons. It's the wages are still lagging, and unionization helps in that regard, but is still lagging from what you might call a living wage or what other cleaners might make in other sectors. And yeah, the benefits are really skinny, so that adds up. So it does drive turnover, but specifically the quality of the staff really has not recovered. So another one is increasing unionization. Is that as we see now, not just in cleaning, but labor organizations are feeling empowered. Look at the longshoremen strike. I mean, you can go to a variety of different sectors, but yeah, they're pushing their case and they've got power, and strikes may happen. So it's a real concern. In BC specifically, the successorship legislation that was put in place was incomplete. There really wasn't a facility or requirement for incumbent contractors to give the information on their existing labor force, wages, hours, and things like that, and seniority. So contractors in BC are actually going into new contracts, bidding them blind. We, in fact, make a point of getting that information from the incumbent. It serves everybody, and getting it to the bidders, but it's something that should not be overlooked. And yeah, so again, we saw the contractors come together in BC as they did, as they do in the GTA. It's great. It's essential that they bargain as a unit to some degree. But having said that, different sectors have, be it education and other industrial and other areas, they have some different contract terms. So be aware of that. But when it comes down to this increased unionization, there's a lot of legal costs, and there's a management time is excessive, especially on the little guys who don't have a specific, little companies have a specific negotiating individual or department. So yeah, it boils down to increasing costs for clients, and in many cases it can be rapid, hard to budget, unpredictable, and so these increases are there, and they will continue. So it's important to get a sense of that, but I would suggest budgeting a little on the high side so that you've got room in your budget for these increased costs. And so, yeah, there's minimum wage increases, which compound the whole collective bargaining agreement increases. So be aware. There's always a bump up between minimum wage and what cleaners are being paid, union or non-union. And so what we're seeing now is an increased interest from owners and asset managers asking about cleaning, like what are we getting? What kind of data flow do we have? When is our contracts up? What's our risk levels? So again, this goes back to, getting data and information. And if you can, excellent, we can provide some of that, but, less information, more stress. So when we talk about some solutions, mid-contract adjustments are happening, and in some cases very warranted. So better that than running your contractor into the red, and they're forced to cut costs or service goes down. Again, like we said, one of the big challenges from the study was maintaining quality. So, clients are saying, no, hold the line on costs. Well, it's got to come from somewhere. So I think that's just business when you look at it. So yeah, we've been involved quite a bit in some very selective scope of work reductions. We have an alternate day program, but there's others out there. And so if you definitely need to reduce costs or keep costs at a level, that's an option. Daytime cleaning is still growing. There's a lot of sometimes lack of, you won't get duplication of efforts. For instance, day staff can do the patrol cleaning in a tower, in an office, rather than a separate day porter doing that up and down a tower. So yeah, there's a lot of value there. Energy costs go down a little bit. So what we're also seeing is a lot of the RFPs that we're doing, we're putting in multiple scopes, 2 or 3 levels of service so that you get cost options. And like I like to say, get cards you can play. So get the spec graded in, you could call it gold, silver, bronze, whichever. So yeah, I think that's going to again give you some options so that you can, understand a little more what you're getting and what you might want to give up. And yeah, the reality is that this cost burden, anything you can reduce in terms of management time and cost burden on contractors, if you're aware of what your cost structure is, you'll be able to recover that. So yeah, I've talked about education, but again, get it to the tenant level on some ways. Certainly if you're reducing scope, get the information there down to what we call gatekeepers, the people who in tenants pay attention to cleaning, on what the value of the services are and any changes. And we also believe in it's better to have an outcome or performance-based contract, and even if it is, loosen up on tracking contractor hours, unless they're actually stated in your contract need to be for a certain maintenance function or something. But yeah, we're in a seasonal environment, and the contractors who are free to adjust their labor, month over month, then they're going to get efficient. And I think efficiency wins on both sides. Internal proper FM, property management FM teams, dig into it. What are your challenges? What do you need to know? Look around the corner on quality, cost, contract adjustments, union negotiations, all of those pieces all have their kind of their influencers on the industry. And it's always good to set up some formal quality assurance auditing that so you know that it doesn't go unnoticed if quality drops off, and it happens. Certainly under pressure when contractors are under stress, their management teams are running running hard on union negotiations. There's turnover, so yeah, cover yourself, cover your back, and get some formal QA audit, quality assurance auditing. So what we think is next steps is, I think I mentioned it, but look at your cleaning. What's happening now? What's going to happen around the corner? Get information, from collaborate with the industry associations. There will be some focus groups coming up in British Columbia. You'll be asked to join. Nothing wrong with them forming through your own associations, be it BOMA or whatever, and create your own cleaning study group. But yeah, look at kind of creating a playbook for your company with some of the things that I mentioned. How are you going to retain quality? How are you going to reduce risk? And as I said, we're happy to provide free information. Make my phone ring or whoever on our team, and yeah, we can provide a lot of information for you. So thanks. I mean, it's up next. Next week is all the details around going to market. This is a 9-part series. If you haven't seen the previous ones, there's an introduction one, a short one on the whole series, and last week was the data report. So feel free to subscribe, and again, our team's there to support you and help you. And thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.